Now that story's been scotched, as only part of contingency planning. But it was a symptom of the dramatic turn of events in South Australia, and it flushed out other remarks from water academics and people like Tim Flannery, indicating that things were really much worse than had been foreshadowed, even earlier this year. So is Adelaide, let alone some whole regions of South Australia, in serious bother? Considering that the vast amount of its drinking water comes from the beleaguered Murray, something many of us outside the state may not have quite realized, is their predicament something we have to face up to as a nation? For a long time now, it's been a widely accepted and rarely questioned belief that a strong corporate culture goes hand in hand with success. However, a recent study has cast some doubt on this principle. After all, the authors of the report argue for culture. A company's build-up may be strong, but wrong. There is little point in every employee marching to the same tune if they are all marching in the wrong direction. Also, malaria is something that is a very complex disease with this complex life cycle. That means that if you're going to eliminate it, you have to be able to target cute parasites and humans. You have to be able to target parasites in the mosquitoes, that mosquito population. And so that requires a lot of resources. It requires really good planning and a health system across all these different levels. And so I think the political capital that you need for that, the educational infrastructure you need for that, the economic resources you need for that are quite a challenge. There are some common reasons to explain why early civilizations developed in different places and different times around the world. Each ancient civilization that has been discovered developed in places where there was a reliable water supply, usually on the banks of major rivers, and where the soil was fertile enough to grow crops. Archaeologists look for clues that indicate that an area is worth digging up. Clues may come from the writings of someone in the past who has described the existence of a particular town or burial site. Sometimes sites are accidentally discovered during excavation for the construction of buildings, roads, dams, or railways. Ebola virus, the bacteria that causes plague, a pandemic strain of flu. If any of these pathogens could be turned into bioweapons by terrorists or rogue nation-states, they would threaten humanity. Most life scientists have little awareness of biosecurity issues, according to a National Academies report released today. And it says there are multiple shortcomings in the systems designed to stop potentially risky research from being published. Popular ride-sharing firm Uber has had its license to operate in London revoked in a surprise move by the city's regulator. There were multiple reasons for the decision. TfL cited the company's approach to reporting criminal offences. In August, a senior officer within London's Metropolitan Police Service wrote to TfL about Uber's slowness to report a passenger's accusation that her driver had sexually assaulted her. TfL said it was also concerned about how Uber obtained medical certificates and criminal records checks for drivers. The straw that broke the camel's back may have been the company's Greyball software, an internal application that Uber may have used to block regulators' oversight of the Uber app. All earthquakes look the same when they start, making it unlikely we will be able to predict which will cause the most devastation from early observations. Early warning systems rely on seismometers picking up tremors and sounding the alarm for nearby cities before major shaking starts. Even a few seconds warning can make a lot of difference, both for individual people and for organizations like hospitals. For example, Mexico's early warning system gave everyone a 10 to 15 second heads up before Tuesday's magnitude 7.1 earthquake. Another arm of the United States government was the FSA, the Farm Security Administration, and they had a peculiar task, because in addition to the depression, which had obviously hit farmers quite hard because suddenly the material that they were producing wasn't really as value, yet their costs for producing it were exactly the same, they were hit not only that but also by another problem, which was the Dust Bowl. And the Dust Bowl was this terrible broad that hit the American West and Southwest especially, and caused terrible economic problems for those farmers. I'm going to argue that the tremendous increases in productivity that we associate with the Industrial Revolution originate not so much from changes in science or technology or new inventions, where England was far from unique, as from changes in attitudes towards morality, towards what constituted the good. Attitudes towards property, which became in England individuals long before it did on the continent. Attitudes toward the proper role of government. And together, these attitudes constitute much of what the Luddites were protesting against.